Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Decisions. Decisions. I'm your girl, Mandii B, a.k.a. that.
I'm your girl, Weezy, and we're back with another episode with another guest we are going to try to let speak.
No, she gonna speak. She gonna put y'all onto some things. She gonna maybe put us onto some things. I'm excited, but before we start this week's episode, if you haven't yet, make sure you pre-order our book, No Holds Barred, a dual manifesto of exploration and power.
So good.
That's right. It's
So
coming out
juicy.
June 24th, and we need your help to become New York Times bestsellers. And we can only do that if you guys assist with pre-ordering our book. So make sure you go wherever you purchase books or wherever you listen to books now and pre-order our book. And now, baby, for the introduction of the guest, look at me with the accent. I don't even know what accents I am doing, hun. We have a line with Alison, who is a certified dating and relationship coach, a wife, a new mom, and
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
She focuses on single women and helping them find successful relationships with secure partners that they deserve, specifically
Yes.
high achieving women
Yes.
and what is it? Busy ass women?
Yeah, basically busy ass women.
Busy ass
like that.
women who don't have the time maybe to go on the speed dates, the blind dates, the dates. Dating becomes hard when you're working a lot, right?
Extremely time consuming and extremely frustrating when you're dating the wrong people.
Swiping becomes frustrating. There's been times like where we've either been on tour or just recording, and I'm like, swiping is a job.
Yeah.
Talking to these in the DMs is a job. And then setting up dates. Like, ooh, when am I going to have a break?
Now, wait, sorry. You're a matchmaker, dating coach. What's the exact title? Yes, dating coach.
Dating coach.
Yes.
So
yes.
what's your ideal client? Is it when they have someone of interest? Is it when they're just starting?
That's an excellent question. So ideally, I like to work with single as a dollar bill.
Single as a dollar bill?
Single as a dollar bill. So this is a person who's not trying to heal from heartbreak. They've moved on from the last relationship that they were involved in. They desire commitment, potentially marriage, potentially children, if that's in their vision. But they believe in a committed relationship. They believe in the institution of marriage, and that's what they want for themselves.
Why is the needing to believe in marriage important for hiring a coach?
Yeah, that's an excellent question again. So if you are serious about getting into a committed relationship, you are serious about being dedicated to this person. I believe in the institution of marriage. A lot of the language that I use is going to be around marriage. Now, my client doesn't need to be legally married or desire it, but they have to desire committed relationships because that's what I teach. I teach you how to navigate dating both online and offline. I teach you what questions to ask, how to vet, how to discern, how to stick to your standards.
How do you define a committed relationship? Like, how do you define that? Because, so say someone comes to you and maybe a committed relationship doesn't end in marriage for them. Would you then not take that person?
Oh, no, absolutely. I would still work with them.
You would still work with
that's
them.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, because
but does committed
I believe,
mean like living together? Does it mean monogamous? What's committed?
Yeah, so committed relationship means that we are not seeing anyone else and we are exclusively seeing each other with the intention of being together for a very long time. If not, till we die.
So you wouldn't have a non-monogamous person?
I would not.
Okay.
I would not.
Tell me, what if there was someone, because a lot of men are non-monogamous right now.
You mean dishonestly or honestly?
I mean, I know that there's a lot of dishonest ones. But a lot of women are defining themselves as ethically non-monogamous as well. If they were looking for a man like that, do you think you could coach them? Or do you think it would require a different skill set? Because, for example, I would assume if you're looking for, or if you're generally coaching people that are monogamous, it's probably difficult to help them ask questions to lead into finding the right ethically non-monogamous partner. Yeah, so tell me, what if that person was like, I don't need a monogamous man, I also am open?
Yeah. So really what it boils down to is I help people find folks who want what they want.
Okay.
It's just been in my experience and with my audience that what my audience wants is a monogamous relationship.
Oh, they don't want to share they
Right. Okay. So in that case, I can help you figure out what you want and I can help you find someone who wants the same things as you. So in theory, yes, I could help someone who wanted the same thing as their partner. I just haven't had that experience.
We had a really interesting conversation with Lex P a few weeks ago where we were talking about Neo. And Mandii said, and we were disagreeing, I don't believe the women he's dating want to be one of 5. I believe they want to be monogamous. I think, especially after watching his conversation, I can't remember what show he was on, but he was like, these are my rules, and if they don't like it, they can go. Right. This is what they have to do. Mm-hmm. I agree. I don't think most women want ethically non-monogamous relationships, mainly because they can't fuck another man. And so the rule always goes, you can be with another woman. And I think they settle. Do you find in your experience that if you've had any women in previous non-monogamous relationships, that was the case?
I don't think most women want to share. I think that you're absolutely right. I think that those women want a come up. And so they see Neo as a come up. And so they're going to accept whatever his rules and regulations are because that's what I don't even think that they're legitimately interested in him romantically. So I'm not even confident that a relationship with him would last very long. I don't even know if they would even define this thing as a true relationship. I think that women in those particular instances, the one you just mentioned, are taking what they can get.
Do you think that... I agree with Neo's girlfriends.
Only because, and if I have to reiterate myself, y'all can go back. I'm going to say the same thing I said from that conversation. I think that with the platform we've curated, with the relationships we've shared, specifically on this platform, with and mind you, I know his girlfriends, and there's a friendship there. They're friends with each other, so I hate even just keep bringing them up because I do have a personal relationship with them. But I think it's unfair to assume that a woman who does share is settling or just doing so to be happy because that's all she can get, when we've sat here and expressed that we enjoy sharing our partners. I enjoy going to I enjoy these things. And we also talk about how in ethically non-monogamous relationships, they're customizable. Everyone's boundaries are different. There's not an umbrella term. So because you don't focus on that, I don't want to lean too far into that as much as I want to lean into talking about how to date as a successful woman. Yes. With you not being someone who caters to an ethically non-monogamous person, and for us being a platform that champions non-traditional relationships, I don't want to continue at this point to throw out the narrative that people are settling or want to be monogamous when they're choosing as well to be ethically non-monogamous.
We have to also be honest about, we can be breaking barriers and stigmas, and we can be the women that enjoy sharing partners, and also know that the rest of, let's just say, American Black women that listen to the show,
it's not the norm for many people.
And I
understand. It's not my area of expertise. So let's get to my area of expertise.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we could sit here and debate it, but you don't really lean into that. And so then I want to get into, because I know our demo is this, whether they're monogamous or not. Yeah. Our audience, our demo is high achieving ass fucking women. Yeah. So how do you define that? Yeah. Like, how do you, and I don't want to Kevin Samuels this shit out, but what would be considered a high achieving woman?
Yeah. So a high achieving professional woman is a woman who is doing well for herself financially. Like, now, so that's going to depend on where she is in the country, right? But someone who is established, who would define themselves as established, they are doing well for themselves. They are able to not only pay their bills, they're able to travel, they're able to save, they're able to live life the way that they see fit financially. Okay. They are financially sound.
Okay. Oh, that's our audience.
Now, when it comes to women that are doing well, a lot of the conversation is that women that are in high-powered jobs or whatever, or financially independent, are always like, I don't need a nigga for shit, da-da-da-da-da. You always hear men saying, these are why those women are single. How do you make sure to coach correctly, make sure we're feeling validated by our money, feeling like accomplished, but also not being so submissive? How do you coach for that?
Right. So I'm going to go back and say that's what they say, and the theys are the ones who can't afford that lifestyle anyway. So I don't listen to the theys, right? So the men who have the time to argue in the comments are the ones who aren't busy working. Real. They're not they don't tend to be financially sound or financially secure, right? So I'm not too concerned about them, but it doesn't mean that they're not being heard. So I'll still address it. What I find is that busy professional women don't tend to be assholes. They don't tend to be extremely difficult or lack submission or any of those things. The issue is that they are not going to follow foolishness. They're not going to follow any old person, any old wear, or How? Because they are intelligent enough to realize and recognize that that plan is unreasonable, that can't be executed. I have a better plan. Follow along with my idea and let's do this thing together. So that's where the real issue comes along. I want busy professional women to recognize that listening to the folks online is a waste of your time. There are plenty of professional, polished, reasonable men who exist who are more than happy to date someone and be in a relationship with someone who is their equal.
I'm glad to hear you say there's plenty because, you know, we talk shit a lot and joke on this pod and act like the pool is so scarce. And it feels good to hear someone say that it isn't.
It isn't. It isn't. It's a scarcity mindset. And again, going back to that original point, there's a lot of conversation that talks about, marriage is terrible, relationships are so hard, right? Who are the people who are saying that? It tends to be the people who are either not married or they are actually unhappy in their marriage or divorce. So the thing is that the happy married people are too busy being happily married to be on somebody's internet to be arguing. The men who are professional, the men who are working hard, the men who have a plan, the men who are executing are too busy to be on the internet to be arguing, hey, I actually like busy professional women.
What if
I
it's
like
not the internet? What if
women.
it is conversation that girls are having with their other girlfriends about how marriage sucks or relationship sucks? Do you think we're kind of infecting each other with that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And again, the happy people are too busy being happy. I think it's Fab who said, like, happy hoes ain't hating and hating hoes ain't happy. Like, when you are so busy being upset, right? Like, mad random Brooklyn shit, right? So when you're so busy being overwhelmed, upset, frustrated, you're going to want to share that. And then many times when you're happy, you're too busy being happy. I mean, of course, you'll share something. Hey, my husband bought me some flowers. That was so nice. But I'm not going to talk to you for 25 minutes about how beautiful these flowers are. If he pissed me off, that's an hour-long voice note conversation, right?
I mean, I think that's the difference, too, right? There's discernment in what you share with your homegirls. And a lot of times you want to vent about things that bother you or things. So unfortunately, instead of like boasting about all the great things, especially if your friends aren't in healthy relationships or are single, you go to them to vent just when things are going bad.
Yeah.
So that again, I guess, creates this idea that everything sucks and everything's bad.
Yeah.
When
the other side of it too is that those men are literally busy. So not they're too busy to be on the internet, right? But they also are literally building their empire. They're working 50, 60 hours a week. They're looking at investments. They don't have the time to be socializing as much. So that might mean that the guys who are in the club every Friday that ain't shit, you're going to meet them frequently if you're in those places.
Can I ask you a question though? Does it make sense for a woman who, say, is at a C-suite level or who's very busy and all these things, specifically professionally, do you actually feel like her match is an equally busy, equally successful man?
Many times.
Really?
Many times. And I'm going to tell you why.
Really?
Many times.
Okay.
So, number one, that gentleman is going to understand and appreciate her struggle. So, remember there was a couple of years ago where there was a conversation online about entrepreneurs only dating entrepreneurs and not wanting to date the 9-to-5 man.
V. Simone said, she didn't want to date a 9-to-5.
And even though that wasn't received well because maybe the messaging was off or the tone was off, it is a reasonable conclusion. Now, I'm not saying that you only date the C-suite, you only date the entrepreneur, you only date the investor, but they can have an appreciation for your schedule, for your hustle like no one else can. It doesn't mean the 9-to-5 man can't be supportive and can't see and value it, but it's a lot easier with someone who's literally doing the work that you do, right?
Even though there may be a lack of time that the two actually have to spend
9 to 5 and corporate two different things?
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. A 9-to-5 person is different than a person who runs their say partner and staff.
Because I call corporate and 9-to-5 the same thing. So I guess two things here. Like I'm just thinking about my last relationship. Although it wasn't successful, he was very understanding of work. My relationship wasn't successful. He was. He was high up in a bank, tech level, and was working virtually, so he could support me, travel with me, whatever. I found that dating that 9-to-5 person, which I considered him to be, was successful, even though I was on my entrepreneurial journey because he still had the language to be able to talk business with me.
Yeah.
Now my partner is in real estate. He's an investor. So he's got way more time on his hands because he's not doing something every single day. Same amount of money, good money. But yeah, I don't know. For me, I think it's the time.
Yeah.
So that's why when Mandii made that comment, we've been talking a lot about our relationship. He's like, yo, if I was still a 9-to-5 guy, I don't know how successful our relationship could be. Because he's traveling with me so much to be on set, to do different things,
right,
and support me. And so it's like, how much, I don't know, is there any way where the high-powered woman could date? Now, my man isn't making less, but he isn't in the office like I am.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that someone could be?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So could you ever recommend that these high-powered women not date down, but maybe aren't shooting for the stars like where they're at?
Is there advice with that too? Like, do you speak to a woman and be like, actually, maybe you should consider the guy who works at Target? Is that ever advice?
I don't know about Target.
Right.
Okay.
First off, we can shit on Target right now because they removed their DEI. So fuck Target. But also, like, do you recommend, like Weezy said, saying, okay, maybe just getting someone who makes just enough?
Like, I dated a bartender, right? Before these two men who are successful at what they do. And there was a big gap.
Yeah, you hated that shit.
It was very
difficult. Like, bleep out what he does.
It was really difficult.
Yeah.
Like, he loved his work.
Difficult for who?
I feel like both of us. And I'll say why. There were times where I wanted to maybe go on vacation somewhere, and I knew it may not be as feasible.
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable with making recommendations. I felt like he had something in his head with keeping up. He would constantly remind me that he was happy with his life, as if he was almost fearful that I wanted him to be more ambitious.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a bit of a clash there.
Yes.
So that's why I'm curious what that looks like. And he was a confident man in himself, but I do think it can get a little bit weird when the person you're dating is doing a lot more.
Yeah.
So I would ask then, for those women that may pass by the good guy or the great guy, and he was a very good man, loyal, it just didn't work out.
Right.
Can it work?
So I don't recommend dating someone who is making significantly less. As a woman, I don't recommend significantly less. And so one may define significant, let's 15K, 20K, 30K. Okay, right, or 30K, depending on how much you make.
Half.
Right?
Oh, yeah, no. To be significant would be half.
Right. So it depends on how much you make, right? But I wouldn't recommend it. And for the exact reason that you said, a lot of the conversation is, well, the woman is going to not respect the gentleman and she's going to speak down to him. And he's also going to give her a hell of a show. And sometimes that hell of a show looks like, okay, big money, or well, you have the money, so you do, and this constant trying to prove yourself or constantly trying to, well, I don't think that's a good idea, and you should, right? Like, it causes a lot of conflict from either side. This is not a woman's issue or a men's issue. It can be problematic on either side. So I say stay away from someone who makes significantly less, and that's starting at like a 20,
and you know what?
30 $1,000 difference.
Right. Or and again, if we're
which makes a lot of sense. If we even say the woman makes $100K, a man making $70K with taxes, or say he has other children, which is a case, especially if you're dating in your 30s. And I talked about this on another episode. A lot of men have other children. There's child support. There's their own bills. There's a lot of things coming out of that.
I mean, there was something a friend told me recently that I liked. She makes more than her partner.
Yeah.
I don't know by how much, but she said, I always wanted my household income to be this amount.
Yeah.
And now it is. So I'm not going to complain about him making less than me when total we can afford this thing. And I really like that mindset.
Yeah.
Let's just say the number is she's making, I don't know, 200 and he's making 125.
Right.
Now their household's at 300. They can get whatever type of vacations, etc.
Is this her man, her husband?
I think they're engaged now.
Okay.
But I like that she said that because it gave me a lot of insight as to like how people see finances when they're in a unit. And I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of women kind of feel like they're getting taken when that happens, you know? So beyond that conversation of money, you brought up Anwar earlier. He was the last time we had a dating coach on. Was there anything you championed and kind of were like, from his episode where you were like, yes, he's right?
Yeah. So the deadlines, the timelines, I'm on par with in terms of how long it should take a gentleman to ask a woman out on a date, how long it should take to get into a committed relationship, how long, and again, we're talking about 30s and older, how long it should take someone to decide whether or not they want to commit to you, all of those timelines I think are reasonable. An issue I have in the general dating and relationship space, for certified people who actually have degrees and they do the work, not people who create content and talk shit just for the sake of talking shit, right? One of the issues I have with the general dating space, and it's hard, but there are sometimes huge generalizations. Huge generalization, and we just made a whole bunch of them. But huge, right?
We just did
huge
the same
generalization. So Nigerian men function like this, and Black American men.
Oh, when he talks about the
like
Black
that.
King thing,
right? And so
I like that.
And so there's a lot of conversation that just groups millions of people together, and it's really hard for you to be able to do that. And that's the important thing about coaching, right? So we're here in a conversation that's going to be an hour and change. When you're working with someone, we're working with them for 8 weeks to 6 months. So the specificity of their life is going to impact their results. So that's the beautiful thing about coaching. But overall, it's really hard for me to listen and engage in conversations that make such sweeping indictments of millions of people.
What about the thing about dating in different cities? How did you feel about that? What do you think about that? Swiping in different cities
I think that there's some legitimacy to that. But I will say this. I believe that there is more than one soulmate. Soulmate, yes. I think there's more than one. I don't believe that there's only one person. I just don't believe like God would do that to you. That if you blink too long, you miss the guy who just walked past you.
And it's also phases of your life. I mean, I've dated an amazing woman. There was nothing wrong with her. We were just at 2 different places and amazing men. So I feel like, I would agree with you.
Yeah. So for that reason, I shy away from can't date in Atlanta, ain't nobody here. Can't date in Houston, nobody here.
Right.
Like every woman that I see online says that about their city. So then how come last year there were over 3 million weddings in the United States? If they ain't nobody good in LA, Miami, New York, like Hawaii, so then how come there's over 3 million weddings last year? Clearly, 2 people decided that this is worthy, and that's just weddings. Forget about long-term committed relationships, engagements, and all the
Why do you think the marital numbers are going down in the United States?
Oh, for the same reason why we're here today. Yep. Because women don't need the protection and the provision of men in order to function in society. We don't need it anymore, right? And so you can talk about like 1974, where that was when women needed, up until the point where women needed permission to have a credit card or open a bank account, right? Like we don't need men to function in society. And so there's no pressure to have to do it. Now we do it if we see fit.
I love that.
Why do you encourage
And I love that. And I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah. If you guys, I don't know if it's probably out by now. We had a talk on selective ignorance about where marriage sits in modern day era. And you allowed me to give my thoughts on marriage, and you came with some really like facts on why the union is still very important. And I agreed to disagree by the end of it, because it takes a lot to convince me. But
have you ever been convinced?
No, not of much. You're right. You're right.
But tell us why. I would love to know.
The value of the institution of marriage?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
Okay, so again, busy professional women don't need men. Like literally, we do not need men to function in society, okay? But it's still an amazing wealth building tool. So the opportunity for you to be able to execute and to create goals and to be able to achieve those goals is so much faster and easier and better when you have someone to do it with. So like the actual literal financial benefits. So I'm just going to lead with that because that's okay.
Just like my friend said.
Right.
Now my household is up.
Right. So I can purchase. All right. Perfect example. I was looking to purchase a home in 2018. I'm from Brooklyn. I don't want to leave New York City just yet. Right. I could not afford a home in any of the 5 boroughs by myself. So at that time, with my little stinky W-2, all I could do is get the closest to New York as possible, which was Yonkers, right? And I was looking at a house in Yonkers. I'm talking to my mom, and she says, well, you're dating this guy who's not my husband. You're dating this guy, Andrew. You want to ask him if y'all want to put your money together? I said, Mommy, you going to let me buy a house with a man who's not my husband? She said, a old school, traditional West Indian woman. If you could put the funds together and you can live where you want to live and be where you want to be, it's something to consider. So I said, hey, babe, do you want to buy a house together? He said, sure. He wasn't going to push me. He wasn't going to pressure me. He wasn't going to make me do anything I didn't want to do. Eventually, we got engaged. We got married. We ended up closing on the house like a month after we got married in Brooklyn.
Couldn't you just 7 blocks
away from my mama.
Form an LLC with somebody. Like, to me, I think that is my problem also with the idea of marriage. Again, with my trauma and PTSD from actually going through the end of a business relationship and having to go through the divorce of splitting assets. If it's just a money business,
that's just the first point.
Yeah,
but yes.
But I'm saying, to me, even that idea, and there's religious reasons and there are financial reasons. And to me, for the financial reasons, that leans into, it could just be a partnership on paper. Y'all could open an LLC
you absolutely
and
could.
Open it that way.
And then the breakup is just as stressful and just as overwhelming, right? But then with the partnership with the LLC per se, now we're going into the emotional support, the emotional stability, the accountability of this other person. I just had a baby 4.5 months ago, okay? I risked my life.
Yeah.
I am not risking my life for any old body who can't at the minimum say, Alison, my intention is to be with you for the rest of our lives. Alison, here's a big ass rock to prove it. Alison, I'm going to profess this in front of all of our friends and family. We're going to get this legally documented so that I can have the comfort to say, okay, well, since you've promised these things to me and you've given me these tokens to prove that you are serious, then I'm prepared to risk it all. I'm not risking
I agree with
my
you with
life
kids out of
for
wedlock.
a
We have too many friends
relationship
that are single moms today, and we could say he'll fuck you over if you're married, whatever. However, for me, I make jokes a lot. It's very Dr. Umar-ish, but I really do think we're kind of wiping out a lot of Black families, a lot of Black children. I like to joke about how the buck stops here with me as the mixed kid, but Black families being married, Black families building generational wealth. I'm not trying to put another Black little boy or girl into the system with figuring out through documents who's going to get them for 2 weeks, who's going to do this. I want them to be having my husband's last name. I want them to be built into a family that's married. And I think it really is important. We just sat with Les Alfred from She's So Lucky, used to be Balanced Black Girl Pod. And when she said her parents were still married, it was mind-blowing to me because I don't hear it that often anymore.
Yep.
Like, I think it's very special. And I think when someone can honor their relationship and their love that way and their child, I really do believe it's more commitment. I think that I would love to see more of us championing that because I have so many friends that are doing well. And because they're taking the back seat on wanting love or family dynamic.
Yeah.
I do want to lean into, because we're still talking high achieving women. I want to get back to marriage and all those things. But I have a hypothetical that I think can lean us into also distinguishing what our desires end up really being as high achieving women looking to date. So here's our hypothetical. I want y'all to play along too if you're sitting at your desk or in your car, all the things. So here we go. You finally believe you've met the man of your dreams and he just proposed to you. However, he has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that requires him to move overseas for a year. While he wants you to join him, you feel it's a crucial time for your own career advancement. You must choose between supporting his ambitions and or potentially jeopardizing your own career progression. What would you, as a coach, advise someone to do in this situation?
That's an excellent question. I would advise the gentleman to go overseas.
Okay.
Please pursue whatever your dreams are. Get it done. I'm staying my Black ass here.
Okay.
I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing. It's a year. That is a joke in the comparison of the lifelong partnership that we intend on having. What is 1 year out of 40 plus more that we could have together? You go do your thing. I'm going to stay here. We'll fly every other month. It'll work. It's not a big deal.
Now, what if it is to him and there's an ultimatum?
Okay.
Like, that's where the question says, like, do you stay for your own career
It's an ultimatum?
It's a, I want you to be with me. And if you don't come with me for this year, maybe that year's a lot. Mind you, Wolf said it takes him a year to even know if he likes a bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't be shaking your head, laughing over there. To me, 1 year is a lot. If I look at where I was just 1 year ago, so many things have changed.
Yeah.
Again, having a friend who woke up and had breast cancer one day, like seeing my friend literally go, my friend Deandra, we had Thanksgiving. This next Thanksgiving, she had a whole baby. Like, there's all of these things that realistically, though, happen within the year of time. So if this man is saying, yeah, this is a long time for me not to be with my partner, and you're choosing your job to stay here, I don't know if
and
this
he's
works.
choosing his job to go overseas.
Right.
Right? And so that's why that goes back to the conversation of making sure that the people that you're dating understand and appreciate the work that you do so that a gentleman, ideally, a gentleman like that would not put you in that position. But let me answer your question because I hate when people give hypotheticals and don't answer. and they give the other option. So what I would say is I don't think that they're appropriately yoked. I don't think that they make because that's why I said ultimatum.
Okay.
We're not married. We don't have children.
He just proposed.
Right. He proposed, and we're already setting up for ultimatums for things that are practical, like things that we can work through. I know you said that 1 year is 3, but come on.
I kind of agree.
In the grand scheme of things, it's 1 year, and you're telling me that if I don't put my career on hold to traipse around the world with you for your career, not, I need to care for my mom. Like this, my job for your job?
Can I ask you a real question then? Just because to me, it's a long time. To a lot of our listeners, it's a long time. Okay, I may not be able to get away from my job because I'm a high achieving woman more than maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the year because I'm a busy person, right? Is there then the conversation around sex? Now, I know you deal with monogamy.
Yeah.
Is it realistic to also expect a partner to hold out for a year or months on end because you don't have the ability to be in the same city or same country even? That's what this hypothetical is giving. Like, what then becomes the conversation about my needs sexually?
Yeah, wait.
Ooh.
Especially, all right, if we're talking about more traditional relationship, we're talking about childbearing age.
Right.
There are going to be seasons that are sexless, medically, right? Energetically.
Okay.
So what you're telling me is you can't wait 2 months, but guess the doctor told me I had to wait 2 months to F you regardless, right? There's going to be times where we cannot do this thing.
Okay.
For whatever reason. So if you're telling me you can't wait 3 months,
here's the problem
that's
with
outrageous.
what we're talking about, though. Sexual needs to imply that someone is so thirsty, they're going outside of your initial rules.
You're right.
Or like the model of your relationship, that's fucked up. Like what fucking weak ass nigga can't wait 2 months? That's insane.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's why I said a year.
No. My
We were talking about a
man
year.
maybe not be able to wait 2 months, and I probably can't wait 2 months because that's what the fuck we do. But if, let's just say we talk about all the time closing our relationship during pregnancy. Let's just say I'm sick or something like that, and he had to get pussy that bad. What a fucking slap in the face to me.
Absolutely.
I really think a lot of the times when we think about time we need to spend away, the fear of someone being with someone else just because we're unavailable due to work and goals, hell no. When you were reading this, I was going to say the word ultimatum. I don't agree with ultimatums for someone who loves me.
Ultimatums.
I don't like when someone won't compromise for me. I don't believe you should ever sacrifice, but knowing you can't make a compromise for me lets me know you don't give a fuck.
I agree.
So I'm good.
Yeah.
If there's ever like deal with it, break up with me, that type of talk, that's that manipulative, narcissistic, like I'm good on you.
Right.
So I think a year in the grand scheme is small if you're comparing it to 40 years. And I've also had successful long distance relationships where I was comfortable and happy. But I know that's also finances too, being able to leave.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now though, if I didn't really like
thing.
my job too much, I'd be like, okay, baby, I'll go live in Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
I would.
Yeah.
I'll practice being a housewife. Guess what else I would do? I'll practice doing my side hustle. Every high-powered woman I know, even if they're in corporate, they've got a dream about some side thing they want to do.
Right.
I would then say, hey, if I move there, I want you to support me and this side venture.
Yeah.
And that's where the extra money goes into. I think there's a lot of ways. However, I do understand women feel like they have to sacrifice for a man a lot.
I'm choosing my career. I'm staying too, like you said.
Yeah, I would stay. And my
If I loved my career, I would.
And if there's an ultimatum, then, like you said, he's just not the one for you.
Right. And you're setting yourself up for a shit show of a life. If this is just your fiance, and now the expectations that I have to give up everything to chase your dreams, this is only going to become more problematic.
Yo, that's why
I agree.
A lot of the men today that are quote unquote high value, I used to kind of joke about how they really don't date women that got shit going on.
Yeah.
But now I kind of see why.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because you really, really do need someone who can be available to you every single second.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I mean, they want that.
They want that,
They
right.
want
They
that.
do.
But a woman probably would not be attracted to a gentleman who could just drop anything and everything, unless he works remotely, right? Like, I don't think most women would be attracted to a gentleman who could just traipse around the world following them.
Of course.
Yeah, like that would be
You want to know, like, damn, what the
undesirable.
fuck? Do you have your own life?
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah, but also on the same token, there's a lot of conversation about these, again, high achieving men that they would want someone who can easily just travel, who could easily just, but then sometimes they also want someone that they can have intellectual conversation who understands and appreciates the nature of the game. You were sharing, like, even though your partner works, quote unquote, a 9 to 5, he understands business. He understands,
my ex,
the previous guy, or the real estate gentleman, he understands what it looks like to invest. He understands what it's like to double down, how to make sure that you are scaling your business. Like, he understands the language and he's excited about it. Right? He wants to go to conferences. He wants to know what's going on. So, again, we talked about generalizations. You're finding your guy. Right. It's about you finding your person. And that's why hiring a coach is ideal, because I don't want you wasting the time you don't have dating people who are just inappropriate matches, not bad people, right? The bartender wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't an appropriate match for you.
I want to get into our reactionary. I'm going to play a clip, and I want to know how you would navigate this conversation with someone that you coached.
Yeah.
Let me get my thoughts together.
Yeah.
What, can you repeat that?
Yeah. How heavy has it been for people trying to critique? Is this real? Is this for show?
It was never fake. My encounter with God was real.
Yeah.
I was just really just in a space where I was dating somebody, and I'm not going to say any names, and I'm thankful for this person, because it was never that I never believed in God. I just wasn't really close to him. And it was somebody that was in my life that had an influence. And, I was so focused on being a wife and being loved on and being wanted that I was like, okay, well, I have to change who I am in order for this person to accept me.
Yeah.
And I was more so focused on that versus my walk with God. I was doing it more for what that person wanted, you know? So I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I change my image on Instagram, or I change how I am, then I'll be his wife, or I'll do this. So it was more so like, okay, Alexis, are you ready for this? But I really wasn't ready, you know? And it's not saying that I wasn't ready to walk with God. It's just I wasn't doing it the right way. I was more so doing it for somebody else. And so it just happened overnight. So next thing you know, I'm on the internet telling the world, like, I stopped doing this, I stopped doing that, I stopped doing that. But this is who Alexis really was, you know? And I was changing myself for somebody else and not for me.
So I wanted to ask, basically, she went on a podcast and admitted to changing her religious beliefs and becoming a Christian in order to appear more as a wife for this specific person that she was dating. And he still ended up leaving her. So at the end of this, she says, I did all of this. I changed all the ways, everything he said he wanted. I felt like I became, and he still left me. And so I want to know the conversation that you have with anyone that you're coaching, if they're currently, or if they start dating someone, and maybe there's a difference in religious beliefs, a difference in political values, a difference in morals. Do you feel as though those people with differences in those places can be together? Do you feel like a woman can convert or can change those and become a wife for a man, and that's a healthy way to do it? What would be your advice with that?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not to everything you just said.
Do not change nothing about yourself.
So for somebody else.
Okay.
Absolutely not. So through my coaching process, the first thing that we go through is getting clear on what are some of the behaviors and traits that you exhibit that you love. And then what are some of the behaviors and traits that you exhibit that you don't love so much?
How often are women able to give you that second part?
Oh,
do
easily.
Women know they're able to say what their bad things are?
Oh, yes.
For the women that you talk to, what are maybe some of the most common traits that women are able to address about themselves?
Argumentative.
Okay.
Argumentative. I come from that background of being a very argumentative person. I should have been a lawyer. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. My dad told me that when I was 10. So yes, all right. So being argumentative, and I'm still working on it. That's one thing, especially if we're talking about people who are like lawyers and in government. So that's one issue that they work on, that they're actively working on with me and through therapy. Another issue, which is ironic, would be poor spending habits. Like, you can make a shit ton of money and have poor spending habits. And that makes being in a relationship more difficult than what it should be. And so that's how I frame it. What are some of the behaviors and traits that you exhibit that makes being in a relationship with you more difficult than what it should be?
Ooh,
so poor spending habits, being argumentative, and then for some folks, being needy. Right?
Okay.
Like, It could be mother wounds, it could be daddy issues, but there's something about this person that makes them realize, and they've been actively told, that you rely on me too much.
I'm really thinking of mine right now. I'd love to know.
Like an unhealthy attachment style.
Unhealthy attachment style.
Do you know yours?
I'm
definitely too emotional. Sometimes I can't get logical because I'm so upset by something. I think I'm very unavailable. Like, I know that that's not a characteristic, but it's very hard for me to show up for things because of my time. I'm definitely too emotional.
Yeah.
I would say my placement on importance of other people. Like, in terms of being in a relationship, I think people question constantly where they stand, but I think it comes from the unhealthy placement of a relationship or a partner. Like, so for me, my friends are always going to come first. My family then is second. A romantic partner will come third. And so I think being able to still have them feel as though they have importance in my life, or that I do care about them because these other people come first. Outside of that, I would also say, I mean, only because it was just talked about in a conversation and it felt like the room felt like it was a bad thing. I still don't. My need for space. I'm actually way more detached. I'm not a needy person. I don't need to be up under a man. I don't want them under me. I don't want to feel like they have to consume my whole life. And so for most men, I think a lot of women show up that way. They want to be around. They want the man around. They want the man to show up with everything. They want the man always to be around in dates and all this. I don't want that at all. So, and that's the conversation I'm currently having with my partner now. Like, damn, babe, can I have more time with you? And me, I know I need a lot of alone time to recharge. And I can't recharge with a person. I have to recharge by myself. That's how I've learned. And I've learned that through therapy. So for me, those would be my two things, is really having a person feel important in my life when they are, but I don't know if I have a good way to show that.
Right. So that's the first thing. We need to identify what are some of the behaviors and traits that's not too great, right? Once they've identified those things, they recognize it's a problem. It's not a gentleman who's coming to them that they love so much and they want to be with so badly and has identified this is your problem and you need to fix it. They already know that coming into the game, which goes back to the original question, who I like to work with, single as a dollar bill. So this is not, we're not conforming and we're not changing and we're not transforming who we are for a particular person. We're doing the work first, recognizing that there's a behavior that's undesirable and changing that behavior. Therefore, once we've done that work and we continue to do it, doesn't end. We continue to do that work. Once we start dating, we're finding people who are an appropriate match, who's equally yoked, meaning they have the same or similar morals and values, right? And either you can match how that person presents in the world or you can complement it. So what does that mean? My husband is a socialite. He is outside. He loves to be outside with his friends. He loves to go out. He loves to drink, all the things. I like to be in my house. So that would be an opposite behavior.
So those are opposite behaviors.
Right.
But Alison, what about a Christian and a Muslim?
Right.
A Republican and a Democrat?
Right.
Those are like really staunch differences that lean into political, the church, all those things.
Right.
Can people on those opposite ends?
I don't recommend it.
You don't recommend
I
it?
literally had a client text me a profile of a gentleman, ask me some questions. I'm scrolling. I said, it says he's Buddhist. And you know, that's a no-no, not Buddhism. But but a different religion. I don't recommend it.
That's so crazy.
What
to me,
I tell
Buddhism
people
is the easiest. I'm not Buddhist
to convert to.
No, it's the easiest to align yourself with because it's not another god.
But not if
it's
you're
a way of life.
Jewish or Christian.
By the way, my mom. I meant to speak when we were talking about Alexis. My parents have been married 35 years. My mom converted to be with my father, and I remember when we had a conversation about it. She started going back to church. My dad's Jewish. She started going back to church like when I was a teenager. I was like, is Daddy gonna be mad? Like, are we doing something bad? And she's like, your father wanted me to convert because he really wanted to have a Jewish wedding.
Yeah.
He wanted you to be Jewish.
Yeah.
This was something that was important to him. And I didn't really care.
And Judaism goes through the mom's line. So she had it to be a Jew in order for you. Okay.
But she was like, but it didn't really matter to me. I just loved him, wanted to be with him. So I actually think it could if only one person's very religious.
So I was just about to get to.
Yeah.
Right. So my recommendation is not to date people of a different religion unless you are prepared to convert. Now, I know you think Alison just saying that because I said that. I promise you.
No, I don't.
That's unless you are prepared to convert. And many times, like you mentioned with your dad, he may have not been like extremely passionate about Judaism in itself, but maybe sometimes it comes with parental pressures. Maybe it comes with the style of wedding. Maybe it comes to where you can be buried, right? How the child is going to be raised. And so unless you are prepared to convert, which means give up your identity, your religious identity don't do it, because the individual may not have a problem, but they mama and them do. And then now the relationship is over because the family has become
involved. And also, if you know, it's kind of like Sex and the City is the way that we can look at it if anyone's ever seen it. I know I bring up Sex and the City a lot. But literally, I think they were dating and falling in love. He goes, oh, you're like perfect, but, I have to marry a Jewish girl. When people start saying things like that, off rip, then I know.
Yeah.
I actually went on a few dates with a guy who was praying before most meals.
Yeah.
Which didn't bother me at all. Well, actually, a lot of my close friends are religious. However, I only could think to myself, this is something I know you want to share with someone. I know my homegirls that pray with their partner feel so whole. I'm going to make you feel empty at some point. I really believe that.
Did you let him go because of that?
Oh, I let a nigga go.
Because he prayed before his meals?
No, not the prayers. I was talking to this football player last year, and he knew the podcast. He knew everything. We were talking. We were DMing each other. And I was like, ooh, I was already thinking because he was good looking. I was like, ooh, we going to see da-da-da-da. And I was like, so what are you looking for in a woman? And he was like, oh, I want a woman of God. I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and let you find her. Because the way in which, if a man says that, I know you're looking for a woman that walks within the word and goes to church maybe on Sundays and does all the things that I don't.
Though? Your boyfriend wants marriage and kids and you don't. So it's like,
that's different than my identity. Those are once through traditions and things, which I've also said, I will, and I've talked about this on the pod, I'll take the ring. We could have the ceremony, he'll align with that.
But the children part.
The children, we don't want it. And however that looks when we cross that road, he's not looking for kids until at least 4 or 5 more years. He's focused on his career right now. We're 8 years different. What 4 years from now looks like for him will be completely not the same. To me, I'm still kind of in my ways. If 4 years from now, he's a completely different person, we've enjoyed each other and he can go have kids. Like, I don't want to keep, that's different than
I just mean
religious
like,
thing.
saying no to someone.
I know I'm not going to church. I've been trying to go with my friends. I feel like they all motivational speakers. I don't want to be in no cult. I don't want to be a religious person. I was raised in missions. I went to church. I had Christmases sponsored by the church growing up. My relationship to the church has changed, and I can't be that for someone else.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware. And I chose to walk away. I didn't choose to stay. And my boyfriend right now, with him knowing how I feel about those things, he has every right to walk away from me.
Yeah.
And I'll allow it.
Yes.
We are really, really, and I'm not going to say the L word because we've been not trying to say the L word. We are enjoying the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
It's not for anyone else to understand but us.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that.
Yeah. So the religious part, don't recommend it unless
I'm not even.
Yeah.
Not
unless
even
the person is willing to convert. That's the only thing that I say. And then when it comes to, so this is a good one. Pre-Trump, I really didn't take political belief systems into account
until recently.
Until his first
political parties?
Yeah, political affiliation.
Right.
It wasn't a part of anything that I taught about or considered too much as being stringent. Being stringent and thinking that you shouldn't date one person or shouldn't, right? I didn't until 2016. And so I've now added political affiliation with the same, actually worse stronger,
than religion.
Right, worse than religion, because you would have converted, you would have changed political parties with everything that we've seen over the last 9 years. You would have changed already if you wanted to change it.
Yeah.
Religion is different. Maybe you just weren't introduced. Come to my church, come to my temple, but nah. When it comes to political affiliation, the person needs to be within. And now when I say within, that can be like from liberal to moderate, but I need you to be very clear about who you voted for.
Even in terms of friendships. Yeah. That's me. Like, I'm not gonna hang with anyone who has a lot of the same ideologies that align with Trump. Yeah. I'm just not. We can't even be friends, bro. Right. What are we talking about? You don't care about my rights as a woman to my body. You want like immigrants and people to be sent back into their homes. Mind you, my dad is here on a green card. Like, there's just certain things that I literally cannot stand by.
Yeah.
And I don't even want affiliation friendship-wise to those people.
Yeah.
Damn sure don't want to open my legs to them.
Right. So political affiliation these days has to do with morals and values.
Okay.
It's not about, how should the economy, like it ain't about that shit anymore. Like now it has to do with morals and values than ever before. So as a result, that person's not going to be aligned with you anyways. I don't know if you guys watch Love is Blind.
I don't believe that shit.
Let me tell you
love
something.
is not blind.
Love is blind, but longevity is not.
Right.
That's what we learned. Yeah,
Right.
I really do believe they're falling in love with each other over the phone. Or over the, the wall.
The pod. Yeah.
I actually really do believe it. I think that is a very real thing.
Yeah.
I think what happens is, sustainability-wise, when you're having a tough time with someone, physical connection and chemistry kind of fixes it.
Yeah.
I notice whenever I get a little annoyed with my boyfriend, he'll wink at me or touch me in a way and be like, why you playing like you mad at me? And it's like, now if I don't want to fuck you, how's that going to work?
Right.
So with Love is Blind, what she's referencing is a really interesting moment. They were in the pods and this guy said there were two white people. She said, how do you feel about Black Lives Matter? And he said, I don't really know much about it. She's like, well, what's...
Is that where you were going?
Yeah.
it was a big thing. And she's like, well, what's really there to know? Like, it's human rights. He's like, I mean, I don't know all the facts. And once they go there.
Once they use the other F word, facts.
What's interesting about that is she ran to a Black woman to have that discussion about how she couldn't deal with it. Chose him out of the pods, but didn't marry him.
Yeah.
And said it was because of that. And it was like, well, he told you in the first few dates, babe.
Yeah.
When did you think
it was also religion too, if I'm not mistaken. There was another factor she said.
Yeah, she said that she would be willing to go to church on holidays and things like that. And he said he was fine with it. Her argument is that they've been out of the pods for 2 weeks and he didn't do any effort or research around those topics that matter, which I don't really know how much that is. But the point is that when someone is conservative in this day and age, that's already telling you what you need to know in regards to your compatibility. And so now I recommend, I suggest it's not a good match.
Are there any other, maybe can you tell us some uncommon matches? I know we're nearing the end of the episode. Uncommon matches that you've seen work. When I was reading Issa Rae's book years ago, she said something about how Black women and Asian men were a great match. And I'm just curious, like, where have you seen some successful ties, whether it be jobs, religion, just something, age, maybe older women and younger men? Like, have you seen some trends lately?
Well, that one's an interest. I thought you were going to go the other direction, the more obvious direction, older men, younger women. And by younger, and again, depending on how old the person is, I have a client who she is 46 and the gentleman that she's dating is 57.
Okay. That seems on par.
She is 11 years. I don't know. She was concerned about it, is the point. She is very well-to-do. And so, again, her dating someone who, if she wants someone who's close to her in salary, who is as mature as she is, who doesn't, well, I mean, men can have children pretty much any age, but tends to not have young children, I'm telling her you need to do around 10 years. Plus 10 years, which in this case, he's plus 11. Now, there's other factors too. So it worked out. I need the fitness. I need to know his health because I also don't want you to be a caretaker at 55 years old to a 66-year-old man. But point being, I think that large age gaps works well for busy professional women.
So I was going to say with the
in either direction?
No, for older men. So busy professional women dating older men.
But what about professional women when they date younger? Let's just say you have the money and you don't give a fuck about.
Indeed.
I'm dating younger and we have he's an actor. So I mean, how we make money, and it's funny because we'll both sit here and be waiting on deposits the same way. Like, I mean, I've never dealt with a younger guy that was broke. I mean, clearly I had a 22-year-old that played basketball, like things like that. To me, there's also a trend in what we're seeing in very successful women dating younger.
Yeah.
And it seems to also be working. I know that when I dated someone 17 years my senior, and that is way over the age gap that you just gave, I understand. He almost didn't even understand because like my lifestyle or how I made money. He said I made money on the internet. He had no clue what I was doing because he came from a completely different generation.
Yes.
And I think even the younger guy now has more of an understanding of what I'm doing. We see Cher dating younger. Don't want to bring up Drea, but there's Drea. There's a lot of successful women who have attached themselves to younger men as well.
Yeah. I think it depends.
I don't know, Dre is in that bucket.
Right.
Well, that's why I said I didn't. We don't have to. She just came to mind because that's what everyone's been talking about.
Yeah.
But even like a share.
Yeah, there. You are right that there are busy professional women who don't care about because they're doing well for themselves. They don't care. However, like I said, many times it's still going to come out later on with the slick comments and the you slept all day and it becomes an issue that it didn't need to be if you didn't pursue it. I don't All right, let me take a step back.
Yeah.
When you say dating, you mean having sex, having fun?
No, I mean like...
You mean committed relationship,
I mean a partner, like
marriage, potential children.
Sure.
I would not recommend it. It doesn't mean it cannot work. It doesn't mean it cannot work. I just wouldn't recommend it. Or the circumstances would have to be where the gentleman is younger, yes, but he is proven. He is so much more mature than men his age, and he's so much more established than men his age. It would have to be some circumstances that would make this thing be something that I would co-sign.
Got it. I will say this, though, like just from the two recent dating coach, not to compare you to Anwar, it's just, it's good to hear two differences. I like hearing that both of you are kind of on par with financial status matching. And I must say, even with friends at a moderate salary range, I'm seeing them being together. My married friends making around the same, whether it be less or a lot. And I get it because it really does help you, one, not feel that, and I don't believe love should have competition, but I can understand some men feeling emasculated.
Yeah.
And I think it really is helpful, like, to be able to kind of have this even feel.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then I think many times, too, when you talk about women, very generally speaking, giving so much.
Yep.
So not only are we performing well professionally, but then we're also wanting to make sure that our house is in order, that we're cooking and cleaning, if you're not hiring people to do so. But then we right. Right. And then we're planning everything, like every outing and every trip. So we give and give and give. And then, damn, you can't even meet me financially. I feel like the nature of women is that we give more than what we receive. So if I'm already giving you more,
to everyone, not even romantically.
Right, to everyone, right? So if I'm already giving you more than I'm receiving, and then you can't, and you're a man, and that's the traditional role of a man is to provide, and you can't even meet me there, it's going to brew a lot of conflict that then becomes bigger issues. Now there's less sex. Now there's a potential for infidelity. It becomes a bigger issue when the root of the problem is, I'm mad because you're not performing on my level professionally.
I've got a final question for you about fidelity before I shut up. When you're seeing relationships budding or starting, let's just say someone is married and there is a moment of infidelity. Being that high-powered women don't need men, how do you feel about forgiveness? There was a clip we played on Horrible recently of Dr. Umar, I know I brought him up, saying, if it's a good man, if it was a mistake, if he wasn't abusive, if he's financially stable, forgive him. I've heard some of my male friends be like, some women are too, hard down with mistakes. Other women are like, fuck you, I don't need you, I'm out. What would you say? Like, if there was a woman who was dating someone, whether long-term or getting married, and there was a mistake. He started texting someone, maybe from work, they fucked, it happened.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So I'm gonna
falling into some pussy as a mistake is crazy.
I was gonna say that. I'm gonna say some things that are contradictory.
Wild.
I'm gonna say some stuff that's contradictory. So the first thing I'm gonna say is it's not a mistake.
It ain't.
Right? Like the process, even if it was a whore, like a literal whore, right?
Yeah, you've got to plan it out.
Right, come on. Like you still pulled up on Pennsylvania Avenue in Brooklyn and you picked up a whore. Right? There's a process. You went to the ATM to take out cash. Like
premeditated pussy, I like that.
Like, come on.
Right, so it's not a mistake. It's a series of choices and decisions. So I want to say that. With that being said, I am not quick to say that you should end a relationship and definitely not end a marriage off of
infidelity,
off of one instance of infidelity.
But do you think cheaters can stop?
Yes, I do.
You do. You don't believe once a cheater, always a cheater.
No, I don't believe that.
Why?
I think that people decide to change their lives every single day. Okay. They make a decision. You change your eating habits, you can change your sexual habits. People change elements of who they are and how they show up in the world every single day. You can absolutely choose not to be a cheater anymore. Absolutely.
Okay.
I won't even blink on that.
That might be a part two.
Well, I would never cheat again. So maybe that's fair.
Okay. So once a cheater, not a cheater.
I really wouldn't do
Evidenced
it again.
right here.
I think I just didn't leave because it was a pandemic. I think I think I was being selfish. I think I was doing what hurt people do, doing it back. But now, even if I wasn't this in love, I don't know if I could cheat. I've just got so much language around if I really wanted to sleep with someone else.
Yeah.
And if I really wanted other male attention.
Yeah.
I think I would know what to say. But cheating seems so cheap to me now. My values of like honesty are different, even from when I was younger. The things that I was honest about in a relationship or insecure about, I wouldn't say. I don't think I could ever cheat again, actually, no.
Yeah. I do want to go back just a step.
But men are different.
I think people, men or women, can absolutely, like literally wake up the next day, like not even hard. Like I think changing your eating habits would be harder.
The people that I know cheated, it's a part of them. Like they are cheaters. Like, which is why my conversations with even my homegirls, which is why I don't want to make this a man thing.
Yeah.
For my homegirls who have cheated on all of their partners or multiple partners or whatever, I'm trying to convince them that you are ethically non-monogamous or not ethical at all.
Yeah.
I think that it needs to be introduced that you are a non-monogamous being because their reasons for cheating also didn't make sense.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of women that cheat that just don't align with the fact that they're non-monogamous beings.
Right.
And again, it's maybe an unlearning, it's a rephrasing, but them hoes be cheating. And when I say they done cheated on one, they done cheated on all.
Yeah.
It's like a thing.
Yeah. But to go back to the video in regards to Alexis about changing who you are for somebody, that's unsustainable. It's never going to work.
Okay.
It's never going to work.
That's a bar.
Yeah.
That's a bar. Allison,
Never gonna make it.
Where can our listeners book you for a session, get coached by you?
Yeah.
Where can they find you? Where can they follow you? Because you also put so much information on your Instagram.
Yeah.
By the way, all of this information will be in the description of this episode.
Yeah.
So go ahead and run it down, baby.
Yes, absolutely. So again, my name is Alison Wellington, certified dating and relationship coach. And you can find me at alignwithallison, that's 1L.com, and Align with Allison on every major platform, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, everything.
That's right. And if you guys want to hear the episode with me and Allison talking about the importance of marriage in today in modern world, check out my other podcast, Selective Ignorance. Also, if you guys want bonus episodes and all the things, hear Horrible Decisions Ain't Go Nowhere. We just on Patreon. So go to patreon.com/horrible decisions. Also, we told you at the top of the episode, get your motherfucking book, ho. Get your motherfucking shit.
Buy it for somebody.
No Holds Barred, a dual manifesto of sexual exploration and power. By the way, if you are my friend, if I know you and your birthday comes, this is what the fuck y'all all getting this year.
That's right.
My motherfucking book is what's happening. Anyways, guys, Allison, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We thank you for tuning in to another episode of Decisions. See you next week. If you are a patron member, that's right, go on over to patreon.com/horrible decisions. That's where you can get all of the X-rated, raunchy discussions about sex.
You mean you can rob banks and trains, but you can't steal this pussy? Hold on, I didn't wash up yet. That's okay, I just want to taste you.
You wanted to say that so bad.
That's the first thing you wanted to say?
You're drooling.
She could not wait.
Do you want some?
No. First off, those are two different scenes.
They're three different scenes.
You combining shit. Goddamn.
Yeah, I got to the dirty part because I want to.
Not you wanted to be the biracial so bad.
Who's the biracial?
She's biracial. Her daddy.
She said a little bit.
She said her daddy was
said
black.
my granddaddy.
Technically, she's biracial.
Technically, she's biracial.
She didn't say my dad's black.
She said granddad?
Yeah.
Either that means one of her parents that means she's a quarter black. She's biracial.
A quarter black is the grandparent?
Yeah, because that means one of her parents was mixed. The dad to her mom or dad was black, which means one of her parents was biracial, which makes her she's a quarter, but she's biracial.
So you think she can say,
I think she thinks she could say it, and so could the black man she was fucking.
I'll tell you what, Kendrick said, you bitches on Horrible Decisions can't.
They said that it wouldn't be biracial, but it would be mixed.
What else, nigga?
Biracial
still two races. Biracial is two races. It's not 50-50.
So can she say it?
Wait, but that's the point. He's saying she wouldn't be biracial.
She is two races.
No, I think it's because she's predominantly another.
She's still biracial.
Comment down below if you think she's biracial or she's mixed.
Oh my God. Yo, welcome to Horrible Decisions Cinema Edition. And if you haven't been able to tell yet, we are doing Sinners. So we're just going to come out and say, spoiler fucking alert. If you haven't seen it yet, it has been in theaters for about 2 weeks now by the time y'all hear this. So hopefully you fucking went to see it and supported a Black director and Michael B. Jordan and all the things.
So a cool thing to talk about actually would be how everybody saw their movie, because I know a lot of people were talking about seeing it in 70 millimeters because that's how it was shot. I'm not sure if that's why, but I've never seen a screen that big except for the Chinese theater in Hollywood. Have you ever been?
Mm-mm.
So it's really cool. It's only one theater, but I saw The Little Mermaid there. I took one of my friend's kids. And it was amazing because the screen, like it's so huge. It's not
I saw it on Twitter. It was crazy. Like just a photo of it.
But I had never seen it in my life before that moment. So I don't even know where you go to get that. I'm an iPic girl, so.
Oh, same.
I'm a member.
I wanted to make sure that I could eat it. So I had my pork belly lettuce wraps with my espresso martini.
Where? At the Alamo?
At the iPick.
Because I like to be in a little pot.
I like to be in a pot. I like to lay down with my little blankie.
And it's free popcorn if you're a member.
I'm not a member, but I paid mind you, I don't even know how we tore it up. Me and my best friend went to see it, and we tore through that popcorn. God,
wait, you might need to be the member because they do this thing where they give you 2 free movie tickets on your birthday, so that's $60, and the membership's $40.
No, 2 free movie tickets. It's $19 here. Oh, you're in New York.
26.
Yeah,
it's
New York
expensive up there. I was like, bitch, where's the $60? Bitch,
oh wait, do you do the pie is 19?
It's $19 in Atlanta.
I do want to make mention though. I didn't know, and I don't know if anyone else knew. So we saw the movie earlier that week. What did we go see? Drop. It was silly, and it's also a walk from my house. Like I can walk there, like a little 20-minute walk. So I was like, damn, this Sinners trailer is pretty good. We should see it. Like, it was very casual for me. So went to go look up movie times and everything was taken. But Friday morning when it came out, and I was like, oh, it's like that?
Oh, bitch, it's sold out.
We know what it did now.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about Wednesday before the opening. No one knew it would be this good. Sure, like we know Ryan Coogler's great, but not a lot of people loved Wakanda Forever. Some people don't fuck with Creed. I feel like we all love Black Panther. So going into the movie theater to be one of the first people to catch it that morning, the first comment I made actually to a girl in the bathroom was, I know what we just saw. I can't wait to read Twitter in 2 days. That's what I said. I was like, this is like, whoa. I was curious too when you guys were watching it, because Brianda made a comment to me. She just saw it a few days ago. She's like, I hate this generation because it really, really killed this for me. Because mad people on Twitter were saying, fuck this bitch to the Asian girl. She's like, I saw so many things on accident. You were about 4 days out, right?
I saw it on Tuesday.
Okay. What about you?
I saw it